This is like the real intro. Okay, so I'm Mike, and I'm here with Mike Polizzi.
Hello.
And I'm next to Steve Goldstein making his debut on the show. So Steve brought up my idea, and he wants to talk about the 80s and 90s, how things were so different then, because we're like 40, and we grew up in the 80s and 90s. So Steve, what about the 80s and 90s were so different? Go ahead, go.
Gotta love unplanned
Yeah.
podcast.
We didn't take any notes.
The best part about the 80s and the 90s, well, I think in a nutshell, is for me, is not having everything so instantaneous, not having everything right now. You look back and you see, like going to the video store, even before Blockbuster, even before like the corporate, stores took over, but like the mom and pop video stores, it was always like an exciting thing. You try to find the new releases, and it was just good to browse through all the different titles.
And if you couldn't find something, it made you want to watch it more because you had
exactly.
to wait.
And you can look at the stuff that your parents wouldn't let you rent. Like you can actually go in and look at them.
Well, I mean, you can do that now with the internet. Can you imagine being like 15 years old now and looking at all the crap that's on the internet? I don't know what my mind would do.
Yeah, no, but like, I feel like back then the covers for like horror movies were pretty
awesome.
Gory. Yeah.
They were awesome. And they had like a warm quality to them. They weren't digital. It was like someone painted something on it. So it just looked more raw and more alluring and more scary.
Yeah, for sure. But like that applied to everything. Like you wanted to get tickets to a concert, right? You'd have to like go to the video store, get a wristband, wait online for it. But that once you got those tickets in your hand, it was like, boom, this is awesome. It was a
celebration.
You had physical tickets in your hand.
It sometimes seems harder, even though the process is easier to get tickets, it sometimes seems harder to get tickets because with the digital age, you can snatch them up easier as opposed to a scalper physically getting them.
Yeah.
So it seemed like we tried to get Metallica tickets for when they played New York and New Jersey, and we couldn't get them because the pre-sales were all sold out by the time the sales got to people like us.
But like with the digital sale of tickets, like going online, it's like you're not seeing anything. You're just getting a message from the website saying, oh, these seats are all taken now. These seats are all taken now. Whereas like, I don't know, waiting online for tickets, it's like,
well, before, like, in the time before we were of the age of getting tickets, before that I think you had to like camp outside the arena.
Oh yeah,
I remember,
like in the 70s.
Yeah, I remember in the 80s when I was a kid, I went to see the Harlem Globetrotters at the Nassau Coliseum, and there were people in sleeping bags sleeping outside the Coliseum.
That's when they sold them right at the box office, right?
And I said, well, what are these people doing? And they said they're waiting online for the Prince concert. Because Prince, this must have been during Purple Rain.
Yeah.
So he was playing the Coliseum, and people had heaters and sleeping bags, and were waiting to get Prince tickets. I don't miss that. I don't know if I would want to do that. So I like the ease in getting tickets, but sometimes it's hard, especially to get the in-demand bands, because, like I said, they're snatched up so much.
Yeah. But even like movies, like if you want to go see a movie, you could probably find it already on some site, or you got Netflix and all this stuff where it's just everything's instant. You want music instead of going to Sam and looking at the records, or like waiting for your favorite band to come out.
Everything's so simple. It's handed to you, and it's.
And I feel like it's not
back
appreciated.
then when you wait for it, exactly. Appreciate.
It was definitely more of a journey to get it, and I mean that has disadvantages as well. But I think the wait increases the demand and increases the enthusiasm.
Value.
Like I would buy albums sometimes and not know what the music was. I would do it based on the cover,
on the art.
Like that's how I got like Manowar and Yngwie Malmsteen. The Yngwie Malmsteen album trilogy had that dragon with the 3 heads on it. So I was like, what the fuck does this sound like? Because you didn't have the internet to see what it sounds like, to sample. And then like stores like Tower Records would have the headphones, and they would have select albums that you can listen to on the headphones. And that was like the beginning of the sampling.
I actually worked at Tower Records. That was my first like job, and they had the headsets and everything.
And singles, buying like cassette singles.
We had a singles room in Tower Records.
Yeah.
It was just singles.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Like as an adult, I would much rather be living now than in the 80s, because you think of what through to get it, and it just seems so annoying. And now things are less annoying.
But it was worth it. It made it to me. It had more value when you finally got those things.
Right.
Whereas now, kids, and even I'm guilty of it.
Kids.
I'm guilty of it too. It's all right. So
Everything's easy.
yeah, Tool comes out with an album or whatever, right? I can just go on Spotify and listen to the album, and that's that. There's no artwork. There's no reading lyrics. There's no like. It's just not there anymore.
Yeah.
Sniffing
the liner.
It takes away from sniffing the liner notes.
Oh yeah.
It takes away from the tactile nature of
That
it.
new smell.
That new CD smell.
Yeah, those long boxes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Working at the Wiz, I actually got to witness the transition from cassettes being extinct and CDs taking over, and VHS being replaced with DVD. I got to like see all that at the Wiz.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
And I feel like the rate that those things came out. Let me think about this. The things that came out that impacted us like a lot were in the 80s and 90s.
Sure.
Whereas now, I feel like there's not as many new things that are really impacting, like inventions and stuff. But
Other than smartphones, maybe.
well, the smartphone
Now
actually
technology is
started
the
all this bullshit.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think music, I don't think has much of a cultural impact as it did in the 90s.
No.
I think the 90s were the last great cultural impact of music. Now it's more of video games. Comedians are the new rock stars now. Comedians play arenas and stadiums, and the only bands that do it are the older ones. There's not a lot of newer bands that play stadiums anymore. And plus, it's also the fact that we had to pay for music back then.
Yeah.
So if we paid for it, that was an investment, and we almost had to listen to it because it's like, okay, I paid $12 for this. I'm going to listen to it whether I like it or not.
Yeah.
And the more you listen to it, the more that you liked it, and then you became a fan.
You mean like a whole album?
Yeah.
As opposed to today where we can just buy any song we want.
It's definitely more disposable, and it becomes even more disposable when you don't have to pay for it.
Yeah. But here's a good one is when there was no internet and we weren't as exposed to that. We weren't exposed to that much music because we didn't know it was out there.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? So we had to like go and look and really look hard for those things and indie record stores, independent record stores and stuff like that where they get imports. I remember buying a ton of imports.
Yep.
And now the kicker is it better that we're exposed to pretty much all music from all over the world so quickly, or is it just so saturated that it's just hard to find those really niche bands, that make a mark?
It was back then. It was the journey and the destination. The journey being finding the music, researching the music, asking the record store clerk what these guys sounded like,
Yeah.
and then
spend hours to see him video.
and then the destination would be listening to it
And being like
over
the
and
first
over.
person out of your friends to be like, yo, I found this cool band, check this out.
Or listening to it once and going, yeah, it's alright, but yeah, it'll grow on me, and then listening to it again and again and again, and finally it sticks to you.
Yeah.
I remember when Metallica's Black Album came out, Steve and I bought it with our friend Chris, and we went back to Steve's house. We must have been 15 years old and played the album from beginning to end. And the only song we knew was Enter Sandman, because that was the video and that was the single. The rest of the songs we never heard before.
Right.
So now, like when Hardwired was released, and Hardwired is a great album, but we were able to hear every single song
Right away.
many times right away for free before the album actually came out.
Yeah.
So it creates less demand, and I think less demand creates less enthusiasm. But at the same time, we have access to every single thing Metallica's ever done just by our fingertips. So imagine being a new Metallica fan
I know.
and wanting to know everything about them. You can access that. So there's cons, and then there's pros as well.
There is, but for some reason I just remember. I'm trying to think back. I got more out of music because of the journey. When you're saying
Sure.
journey and destination, I enjoyed the journey part.
Yeah.
Like finding out, I know Metallica has this B-side for "And Justice for All," the Prince.
The
or
Prince,
whatever.
yeah.
And I just couldn't find it. And then you had they eventually sold it as
you would have to order it at the store.
Oh
and you'd
yeah,
have
that
to
was
wait.
exciting
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, it's like, oh, finally got it in.
Like I'm a big soundtrack fan, so I was always
me
looking
too.
for scores that were hard to find that you couldn't find in the local record store. So I actually found, thanks to one of my relatives in the Village, Manhattan, a record store called Footlight Records, and they had a lot of rare things. And I found these soundtracks that I never thought I could ever find, like The Predator, Evil Dead 2. Like I found these actual
Nice.
soundtracks.
Yeah.
And they had other things too. They had rock and everything, but
I got the Footloose,
But that thrill
Footloose
was
soundtrack.
It's like, you really did?
I bought it when I was like 3rd, 4th grade or something,
Yeah.
whenever it came out.
Yeah. That and we rode bikes.
Yes.
These kids these days don't ride. Well,
I still ride bikes.
I think, well, you do, but you're like an adult.
What ET?
But it's like, I don't know, maybe I'm just not around enough kids, but I think when they do ride bikes, they're not gone for the whole day. Like we were gone for the whole day. It's like, yeah, just ride around the block and I want you to get in by your car,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
it.
It was
I'd get
different
lost.
times.
Yeah.
Why is it? Why was
Like,
it
would
like
you
that?
let your, like Steve has was she 5?
She'll be 6 in August.
She has an almost 6-year-old. Would you let her
No,
when
not-
she's 8?
Not in this day and age.
Remember when we were like 8 or 9?
But why is that?
Well, I think
What has
I think
changed?
parents are more scared. I don't think anything's. I don't think it's become more dangerous. I
We're,
think
we're,
media
we're
has
scared
become
because
a
of the
little bit
internet,
more-
because we see things.
yeah,
on the
because you
internet.
see things,
The
but
media's enhanced.
Fake news.
yeah, but like if you look at the like crime statistics in your neighborhood, it's probably less than it was when we were kids. But you're so freaked out by what you hear in the news. It's like,
Crazy,
do not
yeah.
go 2 feet away from the house. But when we were kids, it's like, yeah, go to the next concert plaza and just come back whenever. You know?
I would like ride my bike like in the neighborhood, and we would like find these, those ditches that they used to have. Like there's like we would just like go in
And
there.
our parents couldn't fucking find us because we didn't have any cell phones. They wouldn't know what to do if they couldn't find us.
Yeah, it's like be home in time for dinner.
Now it's like people are gonna implant their kids with chips,
Dude,
microchips.
I used to ride my bike when I was like 9 or 10 down. I mean, this isn't gonna make sense to most people, just to us really. But like Old Nichols Road.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's a busy road, man.
Oh,
Every town had an Old Nichols
I
Road,
used
man.
to ride down Old Nichols Road from like where I lived in. It was. I don't want to say where I lived.
Long Island.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
but I was riding my bike on busy ass roads, and my parents
Yeah.
were like, just
No helmets.
no helmets.
I actually
Oh, yeah.
agree with having kids wear helmets. If it protects them from getting traumatic brain injury, and apparently if you look at the stats it has, I'm fine with that. I don't buy that idea about, these kids these days are a bunch of pussies. It's like, no, they're smarter, and parents are smarter because they're helping the kids not injure their brains. And who wants kids with injured brains? The internet's doing that already. So, and what else? Anything else? Movies? What do we talk? Movies,
You
music.
mentioned music videos. I'm sorry, music videos. That's
Music
one
videos,
thing.
that was
MTV
big.
before it became saturated with
Reality.
reality crap.
Oh, yeah.
Which is not reality at all.
Oh
Yeah.
man, I grew up on MTV.
Yeah, so did
Yeah,
I.
it was-
80s MTV was fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
90s kind of changed.
I didn't mind.
90s were still good.
It's still good, but they had more like the reality
shows.
stuff.
Oh, yeah, well, the Real
came,
World
they
came
started
out,
taking
yeah.
over.
But they had
There were
like
more programs.
They had like good like variety type shows. Like remember Jon Stewart had a show.
Howard Stern
Remote
was the
Control
first guest
was
in
a
Remote
big
Control.
show.
Flux, was that on MTV?
Yeah, that
I
was
like
Liquid
that.
Television,
That was-
yeah.
That was a
television
great show.
fun.
Beavis
They
and
had
Butthead.
They had great programming for a while. Like really cutting edge like shows and series.
Yeah. Singled Out. That's when
Oh,
Chris
that was
Hardwick
Chris
got his
Hardwick,
start. Yeah.
And
Yep.
Jenny McCarthy.
Yeah. They're so so silly.
Miami
Even, like-
watched that.
Even like the spring breaks. Remember they had
Oh
the
my
spring
God,
breaks and like
yeah.
Primus would play or like
Yeah.
Spinal Tap.
This is all reminding me, but changing the channel a little bit. Nickelodeon, you had Double Dare.
Oh my
that
God.
was fun to watch. You had
Apparently Mark Summers, the
Can't do
host.
Yeah,
television.
You can't do that until Alanis Morissette was on that. Apparently Mark Summers, the host of Double Dare, had like really bad OCD. Like he would be the kind of guy who was trapped inside of his house or apartment because he was cleaning things all the time. Yeah. That was a crazy show. I used to watch that all the time. But yeah, and it was like the value of the music video. The music video back then was a production, and it was just a way to sell the song. And now,
I love watching
music videos are still around today, but again, it's not
They're different.
It's not the same cultural impact.
And back then, the budgets were low, the video quality's low compared to today's standard, but it was wacky and original.
Yeah.
It was just fun to
And it was
watch.
so cheesy.
Well, that was big for a while. I mean, directors, like you were having, so some of your directors directors of these like music videos became like really acclaimed like movie directors.
Well, Fincher, right?
yeah.
Spike
I think
Jonze.
Fincher.
was-
Well, Fincher did. Yeah, Spike Jonze.
Yeah, he was
and-
yeah.
Fincher. Didn't he do like 9 Inch Nails videos or something?
Yeah, that's the only one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm
so
thinking
that's
like
the
in my head, I'm
connection
thinking
I think so.
That's why Reznor does the.
he does the
soundtrack.
scores.
He
Yeah,
I don't know if he directed 9 Inch Nails videos, but
it's possible.
I
He did.
think Reznor did like the credit sequence in 7.
Oh,
And
maybe.
maybe that's I don't know. I'm not sure.
We'll have to look this stuff up.
Yes, or whoever's listening will have to look it up. I don't feel like looking it up now. We're outside at a dock drinking beer. It's a beautiful summer day on Long Island. And I hate Long
Sunday in
Island.
summer.
I hate Long Island, but this is nice. We're by the water. By the water with a nice breeze. But what else? Any other issues or or well, just about the 80s and the 90s compared to
Yes.
today?
Oh, yeah, big time.
Steve has a big
I have
list.
a whole
Jesus.
list in my
Yes.
head.
This
I'm
was
like-
Steve's idea.
I'm like one of those. I'm like my parents. Every
Oh, sure,
generation will score.
Scoring the next, man, and their music.
So how about like directions? Like I used to you either had to like remember how to,
Yes.
how to get somewhere,
Yes.
or like you had to read a map,
Yes.
or you had to stop and ask directions. Or
Yes.
whatever. Now, to be honest, I don't remember how to get anywhere because I just rely on the GPS. That's it. I don't have to think about it.
Yep. Remember remembering phone numbers? How many
Oh,
phone
yeah.
numbers do you actually remember?
Back then, I remembered a ton.
Yeah, I know, but I'm talking about now.
I think I just remembered my
Or my own.
my own.
I remember my own.
Yeah, I remember my own. Yeah.
I think one of my friends, I forgot who it was, but didn't remember his or her own phone number.
Isn't it weird though that we remember our phone numbers from?
Yeah, because we had to.
Oh, I remember my old
But
house
still,
number.
like, isn't it? I never thought of my old phone number until you just said it. And
Yeah.
I knew it.
Yeah, I don't remember
I
your
don't
old.
think about my
Yeah,
old
well,
phone
it's just been
It's
drilled.
imprinted.
Yeah,
it's
drilled
crazy.
into our head. So yeah, phone numbers aren't remembered and directions are. I think if you go somewhere enough, you won't need the GPS anymore. You'll
Yeah, but
remember
it takes
eventually.
some time
Yeah,
because people just rely on it.
yeah.
Yeah, now you just press a button.
It's become such a crutch that we will forget how to walk.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You need a crutch.
we'll need a crutch for the crutch. Pretty soon the crutch will need a crutch. God damn it.
And it's all tied in now to Facebook. Everything.
Social media.
Your calendar is updated through Facebook.
Yeah.
Like if you make plans with someone.
That's a whole other
To-
topic because I can go off on that.
To
too.
sign up for this podcast, I use Podbean, which is really good. Good price, unlimited shit that you can do.
Pay for this?
Yeah. It's like $108 a year.
Oh wow.
So it's on like unlimited stuff.
And they store it like you post it on their thing.
Yeah. You post it on their thing, and then you do like real RSS feed to iTunes, and then it uploads it. So, but in order to sign up for that, I could go through Facebook. I could
Yeah.
either create an account with my email or go through Facebook. So yeah, it's all one big hive mind.
Do you think there will be a point in the future where there's no more websites? It's just Facebook.
Yeah, it's after the solar storm where we lose all technology and electricity, and we have
Facebook
to,
will be left.
and everyone goes barbarian.
Yeah. Yep. So, but anything else, Steve? Got any other on your list?
I have so many.
Go for it. Playing Dungeons and Dragons instead of video games?
Oh,
You know, I
Nintendo,
never-
Atari, I miss
Oh.
those
Oh,
days.
video
Like
games,
now,
yeah.
video
No,
games
but
are.
you don't think video games are better? Video games.
Oh,
it's
video
too
games are so much better,
complicated now.
but for me, it's like more of a nostalgia. It's like it's just, yeah.
like
Now video games are like movies.
I know, but the
Yeah.
graphics are better.
Oh,
But the
I'm not
controls
complaining
seem to
about
be.
today's
The
video
controls, there's too many.
Yeah, there's too many buttons.
Yeah, I don't know. But
Yeah.
I gotta say, is my daughter, I bought one of those little classic Nintendo. They're like this big.
Oh, yeah,
they
yeah,
store,
yeah.
They have like 30 games on them. My daughter played on them with me. We were playing like Super Mario Bros. And she loved it.
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, she wasn't that great at it, but it was fun for her.
And I think it's like we didn't have obviously we didn't have smartphones. We had video games coming up. We had stupid phones, but the kids these days seem to be more addicted to their phones and their
Oh, yeah.
and their tablet. and I don't blame them. I mean, it's highly addictive even for adults. But I think
it's meant to be addictive.
Yeah, kids' minds are so malleable that they seem to be drawn to it more. And I thought I read an article about how they get the same level of dopamine in their brains than they do compared to doing drugs. So when you take like a tablet away from the kids or a phone away from the kids, it's like they're going through withdrawal because they want that dopamine kick.
I've had to go. I've had to have back and forth with my daughter for that.
And when you say to her, you said, "Well, where did you learn this? Who taught you this?" And then she say, "You, all right? I learned it by watching you."
Yeah. I gotta say though, there are some good things about it.
Oh my God, yeah.
Her imagination. She always uses her imagination. It helps her reading. You know.
Yeah, it's another vehicle
Yeah.
to allow the imagination to flourish. So, yeah. What about you, Mike? Any other waxing nostalgias?
No, I
That's
mean,
even a word.
I like going back to the 90s with the music. Like, I found a really good Pandora station that probably plays every song they played is
All right, well,
favorite.
let's talk about the music that we grew up listening to compared to the newer bands today.
I'm alright with some new bands.
I know I am too. I think there are some great new bands, but and I've said this before, I don't think they have the same cultural impact the way Nirvana did, or Pearl Jam did, or Soundgarden, or Nirvana.
Right there.
I like name a new band, rock band. Like the hip hop bands and the pop bands are still very, very popular, and like can still have a little bit of that impact. But as far as rock, as far as saying
I like more
Black
scenes.
Keys,
Like, you know what I mean? Like, scene, back in the day, it was more about the scene.
Right.
Now it's like,
Oh yeah, you're right.
you know, you don't get the scene part of it. You get just the one-offs, like, you know, like Muse. They're a great
I
band.
love Muse, but
You know,
they've been around
for a while, but
Yeah.
not in the 90s. But
No, well, you know, they started in '97. I think.
they really?
Yeah, it was their first one. Yeah, they've been around for 20 years. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
But like there's no scene. See, that was a bad example. I didn't know they were around that long. I don't know, but if you want to go deeper into that, it's also like look at like recording music in general. Like you know, the recording studios in the 80s, 90s, early 90s, before like you had Pro Tools and stuff. It was tape. It was all analog. You know, and it sounded. There's a sound to the analog.
A warmth.
Like a warm sound.
Yeah.
Now, when I listen to music, new music, it all sounds so flat to me.
Yeah.
Because
It's
all,
recorded too loud.
It's recorded right into the computer, just digital. There's no
there's no raw, organic
there's no-
sound.
and it's so perfect, you know, that there's all
Yeah.
these tools they can use. They cut up the tape, you know, or not tape, but like they can cut up the audio files. They can auto-tune. They can quantize. They can do all this stuff to make it sound perfect. And that's what I don't like about it is I like my music like not perfect.
With mistakes.
Yeah, but
'cause-
even the sound, like that, like the live sound.
Yeah.
You have feedback and
Yeah,
you know
yeah.
a little bit out of tune.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. Or a flub here and there.
there's something real about that.
Yeah.
You know?
Like Metallica's my favorite band, but my criticism of Death Magnetic was that it sounded too clipped and too compressed.
Yeah.
Where it was almost, the drums were almost distorted in a way.
That's why everything up to the Black Album sounded so cool.
Yeah, well, I mean, the Bob Rock Black Album sounded incredible. Just
Yeah,
the way
and
they
that was
recorded.
analog.
Yeah, it was analog. Yep. But yeah, like name a rock band within the past 5 years that made the same impact that Nirvana did in their first
That's hard.
3 years.
I
You can't.
Maybe we can't, but maybe someone like Leanne, someone like a 20-something-year-old might. 'Cause
But
I think there,
I don't
there
know.
is a scene, and I think it's more
But-
of the hipster scene,
but-
or
but-
not the hipster,
okay.
but the millennial scene.
Right, but does that scene have the same impact that
Maybe to
Nirvana
them.
did?
Maybe to them.
No, I'm talking, no, not to them though. I'm talking to the whole society. Is society paying attention to them, or is it just the kids paying attention
because I
to
think
themselves?
It goes back to the point that was made. It's saturated now. You can go all over the map.
Yeah.
But also, there's no message. There's no message. It's like
Maybe
Like
maybe
you-
for a song.
you want to hear like Skrillex. I would say he's part of this cultural like
Sure.
revolution of maybe millennials or
Dubstep.
yeah, the whole dubstep
But he's-
thing.
I mean-
but there's no message behind it. There's no like
Well,
it's just party and do a lot of drugs.
right, I mean, but like you figure, rock music at least should be, or at least the way it was, would respond to what's going on politically, what's going on culturally, and if there's ever a time for a rock band to come out and sing some protest songs, it's now.
Yeah.
And again, like maybe Rise Against does it, but they've been around for a while and they don't have mainstream attention, and maybe Anti-Flag or, you know, a couple of the punk bands, but, you know, not like an impact of like a Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young doing Ohio.
Yeah.
You know, or
Well, what do you think it is?
Rallying.
Is it that they just don't care?
No,
Or-
I think Bob Lefsetz, who's a great music writer, wrote a column about this saying it's because of the corporatization of everything. So why would, you know, if the music industry is run by 3 gigantic corporations, why would they pay a band to badmouth things that the corporation supports? You know, and if they're not a money, and back in the 70s, bands would lose money, but the record labels would be like, all right, the first album's not going to make enough money, but we're nurturing the artist and they're going to record something bigger on their second or third album. You don't get that because, you know, if a company's losing money, why bother keeping the investment?
But I feel like today it's almost more. There's more independent labels and more indie bands out there.
Right.
So what, like,
But
if those indie labels are probably not, they don't have that corporate mentality.
Sure.
So I don't know if these bands aren't.
yeah, maybe they are, and maybe they're releasing a lot of great protest songs, but it's not entering the mainstream zeitgeist. You know, people
That's another
aren't.
thing. What is mainstream now?
Yeah.
There is no mainstream.
Mainstream's whatever.
Or
you
like
want.
what can be on the cover of newspapers or the top stories in news that older people would watch and older people would know about. So I'll give you an example. When in like 1996, 97, after Columbine happened, Marilyn Manson was on every news channel because they linked Columbine to him.
Right.
So people who were 60 years old knew who Marilyn Manson was just based on that news story.
Right.
So he gained infamy, and from that infamy, he became more popular. It messed him up psychologically because he didn't have anything to do with it, but people blamed him for it.
Yeah, I guess we hear more about like Kanye West.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
About his
Maybe
stupid-
About his, but that's
it,
his own personal mental problem. It's not him.
That's what I'm saying is
yeah. But he's household
in this period that we're in, that's the stuff that we hear about. The stupid
drama.
I mean, every once in a while, like Beyonce will have like a dance act in like a Super Bowl halftime show that
Or Lady
that-
Gaga.
or Lady Gaga that protests something, that protests, you know, how black people are treated by the cops or some social justice issue. But they're not rock acts. I'm talking specifically rock.
Gotcha.
And there's really not. Like Metallica's latest album, there was nothing really political. It was just a lot of general statements.
It's just back to Polizzi's point is everything's so saturated, man.
Yeah.
Like, especially with the media, internet media now, it's just all about clicks, you know? So
Yeah.
people are posting stories about, like, complete and utter nonsense that are getting tons of clicks, and that,
Right.
what does that say about
But that's
about
not important.
us?
And the attention span's getting shorter.
Yeah.
And there were no 24-hour news shows when we were kids.
Right,
Like people
there
had
was
to
no
wait
MSNBC.
until like the news with Dan Rather to find out what's going on, or read Newsday or the New York Times.
Yeah,
And
now-
So,
which
back to the original point is that the important stuff gets lost.
yeah,
You know,
the stuff that really matters.
that really matters gets
Yeah.
lost in all that. So
Yeah.
it doesn't, whether it's a rock band or it's something prolific, you know, that has happened, or something terrible that has happened, like any type of news, music, art, movies. It's so saturated.
Or-
that it's all covered up.
Or what happens is that, say, one terrible thing happens, that's all the media focuses
Yeah.
on.
'Cause they
Meanwhile,
want clicks.
there's a lot of terrible things going on and a lot of important things going on, and that falls by the wayside because they're focused on this one terrible thing.
And it's all driven by
blown out of proportion.
it's all driven by us.
Yeah,
If we-
because they
if-
want the clicks.
If we click on that, that's
Yeah.
what they're gonna focus on, because
Yep.
that's what pays the most.
But like news used to not make
So sick of Facebook.
news for television stations used to not make money.
No,
TV
like,
stations
yeah.
would say, we understand this is going to be at a loss, but we have to inform the public. And then when the fairness doctrine was eliminated, it kind of let that fall by the wayside. And then it's like, okay, well, wait a minute, we can make money off news now, and the only way to make money off news is to have these clickbaity things.
Yep.
Instead of, again, what really matters to us. these damn kids in their news.
All that clickbait, like, you'll never guess what happens.
Oh,
Click here,
I know.
you'll never guess what happens next.
And then you gotta click.
Here, and then it takes you to a store. And you have to buy something.
Then it's like, well, where did my 2 hours go? I had important things to do.
That's the thing. These today, you get sucked into your smartphone. You just get sucked in social media, and you're missing life. You gotta look up.
Gotta look up.
I mean, but
Turn the phone-
we're
put
all
the phone
guilty
away
of
and
it.
look up.
We're
Oh,
all
we
guilty
totally
of it.
are.
And it's so
I know, and I'm
it's
working
so
on it too.
isolating.
Yeah.
Like I'm personally recently. I mean, I'm still on Facebook with the events and the Messenger.
Right.
I'm fortunate to find separate apps for that. I'm avoiding the news feed. I don't want to be on that thing anymore. It's like I might go on there to share some projects because that's just an outlet.
Yeah.
But I don't want to go on there because I'm wasting. Like I've woken up in the morning, a day where I had to get ready and go to work, and just stood there like a brainwashed zombie, scrolling and scrolling and scrolling and scrolling and clicking.
Scrolling.
And all of a sudden, it's like 10 to 9. I have to get to work.
Oh, yeah, it's a time suck. You lose that
You
time.
do lose time. You're gonna lose
Yeah.
life.
And if you think about it, then this turns into a whole Black Mirror episode. It's like,
Yeah.
you know, what? So who cares if you liked someone's picture and someone
I
liked
know,
your
and
picture? What is? Why are we so driven to
Because
that?
we get
We wanna be accepted
validation.
with
We get validation.
It's a dopamine high.
Yeah, it's a dopamine. It's
and
like
it's an addiction.
it's like,
it's a slot machine.
it's
Yeah.
like, oh, the girl I liked in college liked my
I
post
know.
about Trump.
She must like me.
She must like
Yeah,
me. Meanwhile, she's married and has 3 kids.
And I don't get the people that need to like post every little thing they do. I'm having this orange juice. Look at this. I'm scratching my ass. Look at this.
I had to modify my timeline because people would check me in, and sometimes I don't want people to know where I am. And so anytime someone checks me in, I'll accept it on my timeline later on when I'm home.
I have mine set up the same way.
Oh,
here
we're
we
sitting down. Yes.
Locations. Oh.
Yes.
This-
Oh, we're gonna be here for another hour now.
I have no complaints.
Oh yeah.
Wake me up if I fall
Oh, this is
asleep.
great. Got the bridge.
Oh wait, I'm looking at nothing.
We're
I'm
looking at
facing-
we're looking at the Great South Bay here.
Yes. All right, Steve. What's on your list if you're awake?
So
You have to talk closer to the microphone.
So we just talked about what
Oh, we're talking about social media. and
we somehow got
today
into social
versus
media.
The past. I guess we're just comparing.
There was no social media back
We're
then.
comparing our youth
well-
to today's, I suppose.
You know what the social media was? It was going out of your house and making your own.
It was
real
gossip.
Social network.
It was gossip.
Yeah, it was gossip.
Yeah, that's what it was. Like I remember when Return of the Jedi, before Return of the Jedi came out, in my neighborhood, everybody was saying that Luke is gonna die.
Oh wow.
And I was like, no. It's like, no, I heard Luke is gonna die. So then when I saw the movie, and spoiler alert, but when Luke was being zapped by the lightning, I'm like, oh my god, the kids in the neighborhood were right. And I was screaming at the screen going, no. And then when spoiler alert, and then when Darth Vader, rescued him, I was like, yeah!
Dude, if you have to give someone a spoiler for those
Yeah,
Star Wars
there
movies
are
now,
people. Listen,
they deserve it to be spoiled.
Well, I do a podcast with my friend Erin, and she knows the endings of Star Wars, but she never really doesn't remember seeing the movie, so we're watching it again. But yeah, I mean, there's a few, but yeah, that was the gossip, and you didn't know what everyone was doing all the time.
Here's another
No,
one.
we were outside playing.
Here's another one on my list. The mail. Remember how
Oh, like
you used
the
to wait
post?
for the mail?
Oh
And
yeah,
it was gratifying
Yeah.
to get a letter from
Oh, yeah.
a pen pal.
Yeah, I used to write when I came home from college my first year that summer. I wrote postcards to all my
Yeah.
friends. That was the only way to keep in touch.
Yeah.
Email had just started at that point, but it wasn't.
It wasn't catching
It was
on.
only in the lab at college.
Yeah.
It wasn't on people's personal computers.
And the phone bill wasn't unlimited calls yet, was it? Like using the landlines. Like if you were to call someone from Fredonia
local-
to Long Island,
like a long distance
it
call.
would be a long distance
Yeah.
call, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just like the
See, but
just waiting for the mail.
That sucked.
Yeah,
though,
it goes
'cause
back
you-
to the
but-
anticipation.
But like
of
you
the
miss
excitement,
people, but
the
like
thrill
you
hunt.
you miss people less nowadays because you know what everybody's
Exactly.
doing. So I kind of like that. I kind of like not missing people. I don't want to miss anyone.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, but when
just-
you do
just-
see them, you have stuff to talk
But
about.
I was just going back to what I was saying about doing a Facebook, removing myself from the news feed and sharing so much because your friends that care about you, they're always knowing what you're doing, so they're not going to reach out to you.
Exactly.
But if you keep the mystery, then you get together,
Dude.
you go by the harbor, you have a couple of beers, and then you show each other pictures of your vacation.
You just hit the nail on the head, man. It's like an isolating. It's
Yeah.
when you know all the time what your friends are doing from posting pictures and checking in.
Yeah,
all
then
this
you're not
stuff,
interested in reaching out.
yeah, no one wants to reach out to you, and it becomes this isolating feeling of like, hey, how come no one's calling or texting or because they know whatever.
They know what you're
Now you can use that though to get back in touch with someone. It's like, hey man, I saw you at the Great South Bay. I'm there all the time. Let's get together. So you can use that.
There's ups and downs, of course.
Yeah.
I say there's more downs.
I was just gonna say that.
You're a downer, man.
I am about. Dude, I'm a crotchety old man.
I know.
Get off my lawn.
You guys are a text or a call away. We get together. We do stuff.
Yeah.
I don't need to constantly share every time I'm taking a shit on Facebook.
Yeah.
Unless it's a good one, then you got.
Then here's just to go back there. There's Messenger. Facebook Messenger's good because if there is friends that are long distance, relatives long distance, you have that. There's your pen pal. But the news feed is just you're seeing everyone's political opinions.
Oh, that
and you're reconsidering.
You're reconsidering
them.
Yeah, these friends. It's like, wait a minute, this person was a great person, and what did they just write?
There's a huge ugly side to social media.
Even with Facebook Messenger, I find that there's a couple people that I talk to on Facebook Messenger on a daily basis. Mike, every day it's like, check this out or check this out, and that's cool. But there's some people, I feel like when you reach out to them on Facebook Messenger, it's like, even though they can look at it and respond to it on their own personal time whenever they want to, but I feel like it's almost you're annoying them or something. You know what I mean?
Well, it depends. I mean, if you're trying to have a conversation or communicate during work hours, it's you can't really chime in and follow.
Yeah.
But I get things. Mike would send links about cool Star Wars stuff or whatever, but I don't always get a chance to look at that right away. So it's. But I mean that we know how to get in touch.
Yeah.
I think that's the point. The people that matter are going to be there. You need this electronic barrier.
Anything?
I also feel like personal relationships aren't as they're not. I don't know. They're not. They turn out to be not as meaningful, and I'm talking about not really good friends that you've known for your whole life, but when you become friends with people, it's not you don't have to go out with them to kind of talk to them.
Right
now, you don't get that.
I'll see him on Facebook.
Yeah, you don't get that personal you don't get that fulfillment.
Personal touch is gone.
Yeah, because they're not in the same room.
Yeah,
same space.
I don't like
but
it.
Then there's a flip side. Then you got people that are addicted to looking at their phone. I was guilty of this. You're just you're with the company. In person, but you're constantly looking down and you're yesing them and you're not really paying attention.
Yeah,
they could be telling you the world's ending. You're like, that's awesome.
Yeah, and you're missing out. When you go to a concert or you go to a show, you're missing out on the content that's being thrown at you because you're too busy
looking down,
taking the pictures and posting it and checking in.
YouTube has taken
and then making sure seeing who likes this.
Yeah, and it's dude, just enjoy the show.
Well,
what happened?
YouTube has taken the mystery out of going to concerts. I remember when we were kids, we would see, if we were lucky, a live clip of, I always go back Metallica, but a live clip of Metallica on MTV, or if we were lucky, if we got the Cliff 'Em All video. But for their say their Black Album tour, like I said, there were clips on MTV, but the only real version we would get of it was if we actually went to the concert. We would see pictures in rock magazines and metal magazines.
Yeah.
And then maybe at the flea market we would find a bootleg on VHS. Maybe.
Yeah.
But when you saw the concert for the first time, everything was brand new because you didn't have access to what the concert was. So if you look at old Metallica concerts from say the Justice tour or even the Black Album tour, I think the reaction from the crowd is even more than the crowds today because this is them not knowing what the hell is going to happen.
Yeah.
Because they've never seen this footage of this tour anywhere before.
Yeah.
So the mystery level is totally increased.
Not hit play.
Huh?
I guess, or you could not hit play on the YouTube. But you're right.
Yeah.
That even
Oh
that,
no,
even
it's too
that's-
tempting. It's too tempting.
Even I mean, I
Like-
love YouTube, but because you can find anything on YouTube.
Yeah.
I do a lot of self-study with YouTube, like
Yeah.
educational things. But you're right. I mean, they're spoiling everything.
Yeah, like-
everything is so easy.
Like the Metallica concerts we missed in New York, New Jersey because the show sold out too fast. I can watch the whole show, and I watched a lot of the show going, damn, I wish I was there. But it's like at least I knew what it was like.
Yeah, but also, here's a pro of we're talking about cons. Here's a pro of like YouTube and those type of sites is the content can be very alternative, whereas on regular TV you wouldn't be able to see those things.
Yeah,
like,
oh, yeah.
and there's cool shows that are, like that one, that Hot Ones first week feast show where like I feel like that show is like targeted for people on YouTube. You know what I mean? Like that, it's for like the generation of I guess this generation of like
Yeah.
cool little shows that you can stream.
Yeah.
Well, like web series.
Yeah, like little web
Yeah,
series.
well, I mean, we're all about that too.
Well, my nephew who's 9, one of his favorite characters is a YouTuber, like Dan Dan TDM, who's a Minecraft player.
Oh yeah, he's
but
the
this
English guy, right?
yeah, this
That
guy
kid.
plays he sold out the Beacon Theater in Manhattan,
Yeah.
which is like over 1,000 people. He goes on tour because he has millions and millions and millions of
that's
followers.
the thing is it also created new different type new celebrities.
Yeah.
Like these new like types of
Yeah, there's
celebrities.
personalities.
Yeah, they didn't have the gatekeepers of the networks to do it. They just put their own stuff out there, which I think is
Which
a
is
positive.
awesome.
Yeah, which is awesome for like indie filmmakers and actors like us.
Yeah, like growing up, I mean, talking about just blending now, our conversation now to going back to like the 90s. I remember graduating high school with dreams and intentions of like working for George Lucas or something. And I actually wrote written letters with the mail saying, hey, here's my resume, this is what I want to do, blah, blah, blah. And they would send me really nice rejection letters.
Yeah.
But I guess what I was trying to get at is like, it was so much harder to be a filmmaker and do things like that. And today, anyone that has a phone could do it.
Yeah.
Like
Which-
everything is, it's like it's great, but
Yeah.
then it goes back to saturation too.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have
Okay.
people that have, and this is, I saw this guy on, do you remember Dave Grohl put out that movie Sound City?
Of course.
His engineer said the worst part about like Pro Tools and people being able to record like music in their bedrooms is that the people that have no business
Yeah.
like doing that
Are
are
doing
doing
it,
it,
yeah.
and getting notoriety out of it.
Yeah.
Where you have people that are skilled and crafted, and this is their craft.
Yeah, and they're not making any money.
They're not making any money because
Yeah.
of this.
And nobody wants to pay anyone either.
And that's
So,
why you don't hear as many quality sounding
yeah.
records.
Yeah, because why bother paying a lot of money for someone who knows what they're doing when you can kind of do an okay version yourself?
Exactly.
Right.
You spend basically no money on it.
Yeah.
Everything I went to school for and aspired to be is
Is
now something
accessible.
everybody is doing for
Yeah.
nothing. It's
Yeah.
now a hobby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It took
And
away
it's
jobs.
an expensive hobby.
Yeah.
They're taking their jobs.
God damn it! We're not bitter. We're not bitter. We're not bitter or unfulfilled at all.
I'm a bitter old crotchety get off my lawn man.
Yes, but you look
We sound
great.
we sound like
Thank
grumpy old men.
No, man, listen. No,
kidding.
Yeah, no,
I'm kidding,
but at the same time, I embrace the modern times and try to have a balance. It's
do
about
too.
balance. You want to embrace the modern times, but you also want to go back to the ideas and values
You
of what it was
you gotta
like.
remember your roots, man.
Yeah, yeah.
that-
Don't
yeah.
forget your roots.
Roots.
You remember, like, when you're a
Society
kid
might
and
also, like-
when Steve's kid and my nephew were, our age, they'll be talking about, back when we were kids, we had to carry around the tablet. Kids these days have microchips in their heads. You know how easier it is now, much easier it is now?
Yeah, it's constantly evolving.
Yeah. Yep. I'm sure the the horse and buggy drivers were saying how easy the people who drive cars have it.
And now Tesla with these self-driving cars,
Yeah.
it's gonna be crazy.
It's constant evolution.
The future is now.
Always evolving
Yes.
until we destroy ourselves.
That was actually a thought I had like not too long ago, like just projecting myself going back in time as a kid in the 80s and thinking that one day as an adult I'm gonna have a device in my pocket that can take pictures, make movies, and
Yeah.
call people.
You didn't think that, right?
No, it's like it's like we take it for granted.
Exactly.
But it's like,
Yeah,
but it's an amazing thing we have here.
it really is, and it's only gonna get more amazing as time goes on. Like
It's
each year.
yeah,
Yeah. Anything else on your mental list, Steve?
it's like brain dumping.
I know.
Oh, I think we might have covered most of it. I
Alright.
probably have some stuff that I'm not.
Well, we can always do a part. We can always do a part 2.
That's true.
All right. So
Then and now.
from our brain dump to yours, we're gonna actually enjoy the outdoors instead of looking at my phone to make sure the microphone picks us up. It's probably gonna be all fucking wind.
So ironic, isn't it?
I know, right? We're talking about all this shit. Meanwhile, we're victims of our own complaining.
I'm not looking down.
We're recording this on a smartphone.
Yeah.
I'm staring at the water.
I'm staring at Mike and Steve because my back is to the water because the way the fucking chairs are set up. God damn it. All right. Well, that's it. I'm going to go look at the water. Bye, everybody. Oh, wait, Mike, where can they find you? Plug.
I'm near the water right now.
Okay.
No, I'm currently I'm blogging. I'm trying to blog monthly, covering some conventions like Awesome Con, Star Wars Celebration, stuff like that. You can find me at hypersonictuna.com.
Steve, plug something.
What would I plug?
Plug your band, Tofu Mofo.
Plug your phone.
Tofu Mofo. Wait, it's Bandcamp. It's on Bandcamp.
It's on okay. Tofu Mofo, and Steve wrote a great album. For those of you who hate their job and hate their commute, this is an album for you. It's called Tofu Mofo. One word, TOFUMOFO, and the album is called Songs in the Key of Fuck You, and it's on Bandcamp. Buy it, download it, listen to it.
It's political.
It's political. And I am Mike Lane. You can find me on Twitter at Mike Lane Act. That's Mike Lane ACT. And subscribe to this podcast. Write us, comment, even if you don't like us. But please like us. All right. Later, everybody. Bye.